I'm Dr. Jordin Wiggins, and this is the Pleasure Principles podcast. Join me on this journey where sex, science, and sensuality meet. Let's change the conversation around sex and pleasure together.
I did a lot of reflecting over the past few days. Don't know if it's because it is end of my luteal phase. I'm PMSing and just it's easier to feel. Could be that a lot of my one-on-one clients and my feminine mentorship clients are wrapping up for the year. So there feels like there's a finality, a closing to a lot of things. And I have so much gratitude, so much really optimism for better sex and intimacy for women, especially super women, because I'm starting to notice I knew it was a big problem. I knew sexual dysfunction affecting 1 in 2 women globally. I knew it was a massive problem affecting billions of women. And what I didn't realize is how many thousands, millions of those are women exactly like me. And no one was talking about the unique challenges that being a superwoman brings and the tools that get us the success in our career. Running our businesses, running our households are not the tools that we need to succeed at our relationship and sex and intimacy and even at our own health. So I'm on a mission to fix those things for women like us. This past year, there's been some amazing parts. I moved into my dream home, the home that we designed and built. I worked less. I played more. I can finally say that I have relationships where I'm seen for me in all areas of my life, allowing myself to feel pleasure and joy on a bigger scale, with minimal sabotage. The one area of sabotage is my health. I'll talk about that in a moment. Busted some big beliefs for myself. It's safe to be rich and be loved. My life gets to be this good. The better it gets, the better it gets. Starting to really lean into having it all without sabotage. And like I said, mostly without sabotage. I helped so many women and their families, helped lead them out of burnout, help heal their relationships from the brink of divorce or breakdown, helped clients call in their life partners, everyone's families, businesses. Like when we put pleasure first, there's more fun, more laughs, more sex, more productivity. So teaching women about pleasure and then watching them take it and run with it into their lives absolutely amazes me. I worked on healing my own sexual abuse and trauma on a deeper level than ever through pleasure, which is fun. And I know healing's like ice cream. It thaws and it's easy to scoop off that top layer. So I did a lot of like deep work on thawing a lot, chiseling out some stuff, and just healing that and releasing that and allowing love in, allowing myself to be seen and actually loved and cared for, and doing it through pleasure, which is so fun. There were some hard parts or some parts that were challenging, like closing my medical clinic. Obviously, once I did it, that was amazing. It was the best decision for me and for my work and for the impact that I want to have. That model is it's just way too small of a box for me to play in. I've been struggling with hormonal issues since pregnancy, and I've been superwomaning it. where basically using all of my tools and resources to feel better and get myself back in the game, get myself back to working, get myself to maximum capacity every month, every other month after it happens with my cycle. And I've been getting knocked out, nausea, vomiting, dizziness, just a mess. Been through so many specialists. We thought it was, I mean, I did have food poisoning from traveling in Montenegro. I don't know if you've been following, you've heard me talk about it. So anyways, we thought it was a gastro thing. I was getting hives at the same time. So we thought it was a really weird presentation of food allergies. Like, we've been around the ringer, but I should have known and I should have trusted my gut. And I was breastfeeding and stopped breastfeeding during this time. But my intuition at the beginning told me it was my hormones. And all of the specialists and professionals said, it's not your hormones. It's not happening every cycle. Anyway, so thorough hormone investigation to come. My point being, I was in the superwoman cycle of like being burnt out and overwhelmed and then not taking time for myself. So we have a crash. Crash can be a migraine. Crash could be chronic pain or back pain that flares up and lays you out, a virus that makes you rest. So for me, this has happened 6 times over the last 12 months, and I've been just doing whatever it takes to get back in the game. But I realize that needing to take my own advice on this one and focus on my health and make my health a priority. I do it for so many other women. And it feels completely out of integrity that, yes, since July, I have been actively trying to resolve this issue with myself, my naturopath, my many medical specialists. But I know that I'm called to do even less, to slow down even more. Other challenging parts, being a mother, stepmother, and again, it's a good hard, but challenging you to expand. My partner and I challenging each other to expand, because we think we want the conscious relationships, we want to be truly seen, but that calls us to grow, and it shines a light, or we can like a light on the dark spots, the stuff we haven't looked at, or it's like a magnet where you're in intimate partnership and the magnet draws the crap out of you. And you know this. It's the same fights, or it's the same avoidance patterns. It's the same lackluster intimacy that you've been trying to ignore and distract yourself away from. And there's 2 things that I see as a problem in relationship dynamics today. The first is that women are having sexual dysfunction at an alarming rate. 1 in 2 women, that's 50% of women, are having issues around desire, arousal, lack of satisfaction, pain with sex, and I want to call this one out specifically because I don't think we speak to this enough. You want sex more than your partner, but you feel rejected because the narrative is men are supposed to want you more. So a lot of these women, like with the higher drive, often turn off their desire or just start to avoid and focus on other areas. And the second issue that I see is men having erectile dysfunction at a higher rate and or dealing with premature ejaculation. And premature ejaculation doesn't need to mean like the TV's portrayal of it. It could be like not able to have penetrative sex long enough to be satisfied. Because that is the goal. The ultimate goal of sex is intimacy. It's pleasure. It's connection. It's not orgasm and done. So many of us are in unsatisfying relationships. We're a great team. We're not lovers. I've heard my kids are leaving this fall. I don't like going off to school or finally away from COVID again. I don't even feel like I know my husband, and I'm not sure if I want to. I'm not sure if the relationship's done. I'm not sure if this relationship is right for me. We're missing that spark from the past. He doesn't even look at me anymore. And if we were honest, if we were brutally honest, we're lonely. We distract with work, we distract with kids, we distract with plastic surgery, buying things. But none of those things are filling the void of pleasure. And that's what we're talking about today, pleasure, and why it's so important. And as you are moving through your year-end rituals and your reflections, and we're moving into the new year, I'm encouraging you to add pleasure to your never-ending to-do list. Hopefully at the top, we're going to prioritize it. So I want to remind you, if you've read my book, The Pink Canary, if you've listened to me for a while, thank you. I want to remind you of the concept of anhedonia. It's the medical term for lack of pleasure and inability to feel joy. And I would say that it's more than 50% of women that have this. It's probably like 75, 80%. Where you feel numb, you're not as happy as you used to be, you're burnt out, overwhelmed, you oscillate in that anxiety, depression, like two sides of the same coin that's flipping. It's like describes my pre-med and medical degree years. You have difficulty making decisions. You've got this heaviness about you. Maybe it's actually translated to physical weight that you can't get off. All of these things can be improved through pleasure. And it is easier, it is faster, it is more fun, and it feels better than all of the fucking crap you've been doing that isn't working. Something that is coming up in the women that I work with is their resistance to pleasure and and you're brilliant. If you're listening to this podcast, you are brilliant. You are resourced. You are capable of taking the action. So you're resisting pleasure. You're resisting this work for a reason, resisting work that you know deep down you need to do. And we know what are our excuses for most things. We know that you're not resisting pleasure because of the money. We know that you are prioritizing other things, busying yourself, convincing yourself that pleasure will be hard. It's going to take too much time. You'll do it next year. It's going to be too much work and I don't have time because of all of these initiatives at business and whatever at home. I need more therapy. Therapy is amazing. There is a need for it. Many of the women that I work with have done a ton of therapy, a ton of PTSD therapy, trauma work, couples therapy. And it serves its purpose, but it doesn't plug this hole. It doesn't plug the pleasure hole. You're listening to this podcast for a reason. There is still a void that needs fixing, filling. We are going to keep making plays on words. How much therapy have you done? And where do you still have blocks? Where are you still searching? How many podcasts have you listened to? How many online courses have you purchased? And my work still speaks to you. It's a sign you need to do something different. In business, if something is not working, how long would you keep doing it? And I mean, I know super women that we will keep an under-functioning employee for a really long time and try and over-function and keep them. But I mean, aside from that, if we do things in business and we know they don't work, we pivot and we take the action. So let me tell you, the return on pleasure and good sex, intimacy, connection is way better than therapy. We only need you to be on board, and you will start seeing changes with incorporating a pleasure practice in just minutes per day. I'm going to tell you another avoidance of the real work example. I'll call it the elaborate vacation. How many of you have set up, planned, possibly even paid for a vacation because you think the time away is going to fix the unfulfillment in your relationship? You guys will reconnect. So you go on this trip and you don't have sex, or you go and you fight the whole time, or you do it because you feel like you have to and it still feels forced and awkward and something's missing. Or maybe there's a fear that if you don't do it, you don't connect, then he's going to get it elsewhere. Anyways, there will be a lot of negative self-talk when you plan this trip and it doesn't go to plan and you feel unfulfilled and lacking. I have done it in my marriage, which was sexless at times. And I was in my late 20s, early 30s. I was a higher drive partner doing cartwheels, standing on my head, reading books. And you're welcome, because all of that work led me to create Pleasure Principles, my foundational program, doing blood work, wondering what was wrong with me that he didn't want me. Turns out a lot was wrong. If you want to hear more on this and why, episode 71, retiring your husband. That was my goal at the time. Episode 70, being the fixer. We will link these in the show notes. There were many, many things wrong. Addiction issues, things that were not being addressed. I was definitely stuck in my masculine. That's why I am divorced. That's why it's my mission to help superwomen like me have the tools and skills to heal their relationships or attract the ideal relationship or allow yourself to be cared for. We can't do this from our masculine. And I know that the skills that get you the success at work, in your business, in the boardroom, do not give you success in sex and intimacy. So why do we resist pleasure? First, societal, cultural conditioning. Kasia Urbaniak calls it good girl conditioning. Focus on others, focus on their feelings, making those around us happy, being the good wife, mother, employer. We are taught from childhood to focus on others, to have our focus out to take the temperature of the room. We are taught that our pleasure, our desire, our internal knowing is second to a penis and sex, second to everyone else in our life. As a female, our needs come second, our orgasms come second, our pay rate comes second. And yes, we have gotten better at asking for what we want. We're getting promotions, we're getting seats at the table. But if you look behind the scenes at the intimate relationships of superwomen, we're shrinking our needs. We're asking for what we think people will give us. So we have this desire and we ask for a crumb. We ask for a piece of it. We don't ask for the whole thing. Or we're over functioning to make it so that it can happen. So was chatting with Ali Pintucci. If you haven't caught me on her podcast, you're going to want to listen to that one. But she talked about how she had asked her boyfriend to plan a date and wasn't sure that he would do it. So she planned and made like backup plans instead in case he didn't. So that's what I'm talking about, over functioning or like accepting a crumb of our actual desire. And we do so much ourselves that we're exhausted, lonely, and resentful. And I want to hit home that behind the scenes in our intimate relationships is where we struggle, because I think this is where a lot of us get lost. And in working through my programs and realizing women are like, oh my God, like I would have no problem doing this acquisition, this presentation, but I can't. Like, we struggle to ask for our needs in intimate relationship. And that is why it's so sneaky, because it's so easy for us to write it off. Like, oh, I learned that already. I learned to set boundaries. I learned to ask. I learned these communication skills. But then why are we so unhappy and so unfulfilled in our relationships? The other reason brings us to number 2. The other reason why we avoid pleasure. We are tolerators. We have such a high tolerance for feeling uncomfortable and a very low tolerance for feeling good. So if you were to stop listening to this podcast right now, whatever you were doing, Go sit down in a cozy chair, cozy spot of your home, outside. Outside, if you're in a warmer climate here than me in Canada, let the sun pour down on your face and just relax, and try and relax for 10 minutes. What would happen? Most likely, you would start thinking of all of your to-dos and the emails that you had to send. Your nervous system would freak out because it is so used to being in overdrive, in fight or flight. And again, our tolerance is key to our success. So at work, we take risks, we try new things, we see things the way other people don't see them. And like I mentioned, maybe we are tolerating employees, contractors not pulling their weight for your company, and you're working harder yourself to make up for it. But this sets us up to struggle in intimate relationship, because deep down, we all have some wounding, some messaging that we are not deserving of love unless we earn it. We're not deserving of pleasure. We're not deserving of feeling good unless the to-do list is done and things are perfect. It never occurs to us that we deserve to feel good just because. You don't need to earn good sex. When we undo the superwoman conditioning and we truly learn to receive, everything changes. I'm going to read you a couple messages that I had from ladies in the feminine mentorship. Crazy. Just had the most amazing fucking sex this AM. Just like the hotel sex we used to have a year ago, but this time it was at home. Fire emoji, growing heart emoji. Last night I had the most amazing sex. It felt different somehow, where for the first time in a long time, I fully surrendered myself. It was liberating in ways. P.S. That vibrator you gifted us is the most wicked one I ever owned, and we have quite a collection. I responded, surrendered sex. How much more amazing is it when you feel seen? Surrendered sex is something that we teach in the feminine mentorship. It's the sex you've been craving, the sex you didn't even know you wanted. And she responded, it felt so scary at first. And I want you to know that a lot of people that do prioritize pleasure, they do start doing this work. It feels scary and it feels uncomfortable. And that is hard for us because we are perfectionists and we like to do things right and we like to do things well. We need to raise our hand and admit the shame that we have no idea how to do this. How we build intimacy from the feminine. And it's like a flower, like a flower bud that opens. And as we're opening, it's scary because we're exposing ourselves, we're exposing our petals to the environment. And we can get hurt. It's like safer to be stuck in this tight little bud, but then we're in the bud and we're like, I'm lonely and resentful and miserable, but then we're scared to open. So that's the work. We have to do the scary thing. And it's not so scary when you have a framework and a community of women supporting you. Society tells us that if you get hurt from loving, you're weak. And I don't believe that. That's a belief I'm leaving behind in 2022. And the third reason that we avoid pleasure is because we are numb. If we are feeling really good or really bad, we like to shut it down. Mama Gina, one of my earlier teachers, likes to mention the piano analogy. She's like, women are allowed to play middle C. Smile, be nice. And then the like really, really high notes like joy and feeling ecstatic, if we show and express those emotions, people are like, what's wrong with her? And if we are really sad and really dark, then it's also like crying and what's wrong with her? So we have a very limited window of accepted emotions and emotions that we allow ourselves to feel. So we're numb, and feelings are our superpower. And our ability to feel deeply, our ability to feel deeper as we hormonally cycle, as we transition through cycles in our lives, like starting to menstruate, pregnancy, breastfeeding, peri and menopause, all of those transitions can be brilliant times to tap into your feelings and desires if you do it from the feminine. But we just like to numb and pretend and play middle C and just pretend like it's life as usual. We get busy. We focus on other areas of our lives, our work, our kids, when we're not getting our needs met. And it's like we're dying a little bit inside. Loneliness is the equivalent to smoking 15 cigarettes a day. This is researched. Why the fuck are we not doing more about it? So what I see, and this is common, is with the numbness. When we turn down the dial on pain and our negative emotions, our sadness, our despair, our longing, which again, I don't think any emotion is negative, but I'm just talking from a societal perspective. So we turn down that dial, and then it means we also turn down the dial on pleasure. So that range, that those keys that we're allowing ourselves to play is less. And then women come to me and they say, I'm not as happy as I used to be. I have everything I ever thought I wanted, and I'm not happy. What's wrong with me? And we're numb. We're busy. I like to say that I can tell a well-fucked woman by her calendar or her to-do list. Actually, we should do that. Send me screenshots of your daily to-dos or your calendar for the week, and I'll try and guess how much good connected sex you're having and how frequently. And I'm surprisingly accurate at it. Other ways we numb: buying things, homes, vacations, lingerie, online programs. Fill ourselves with things that don't actually fill our souls and our pussies, like wine and food. We buy books wishing we were the characters, plastic surgery and cosmetic procedures. And again, nothing wrong with any of these numbing behaviors. I have done many of them, trying to fill the void, trying to fill the hole that is pleasure. Numbing by helping others, living vicariously through their lives. And when we have it all and we don't feel pleasure and we turn down those dials, we're numb and we're doing things to numb. And we have money and we have time and we have support, and we're finding ourselves in the same fight again, in the same pattern in relationship again. We start to get a little scared and start thinking, maybe I'm so broken, it's not possible for me. Maybe I'm not attracted to my partner anymore. Maybe I'm destined to be alone. Maybe this is as good as it gets and I have all these amazing things. So why can't I just be happy? So much blame on ourselves. And it is 1000% possible that pleasure and learning to be in your feminine energy can rectify this, can start improving this. How do we do it? How do I do it? We work by retraining our brain, our beliefs, and our nervous systems to have a higher tolerance for pleasure. So we're turning up that pleasure dial. We're actually turning up the dial on both, on all of our feelings. And here's a tip for you. And I know, again, if you're brilliant, if you're listening to this, you're brilliant, and you know that this is a big problem. This is cultural. This is systemic. This is how we were or weren't shown love as children. But your superwoman brain is saying, like, how do I take action? Which is actually the kind of the opposite question that we should be asking, because our thinking that got us to here is not the thinking that's going to get us out of it. But what I will say, if you are looking for a tangible action step, is do something that feels good to you. Practice pleasure once a day for 3 or 4 minutes. And I'm not talking about just self-pleasure. I'm talking about something that feels good to you. Applying lotion on your skin slowly, giving yourself a face mask, asking for a foot rub, dancing naked in front of the mirror or with a bra and panties on to your favorite song when you're getting ready in the morning. Do something that will help make you feel joy. Because remember, you've turned that off. That channel is muted for you. we need to turn it on and we need to increase our tolerance for it over time. And it's going to feel awkward and it's going to feel scary, but it's like going to the gym, building muscle. It doesn't necessarily feel great in the moment. It's hard, but the results at the end are totally worth it. So why is pleasure urgent? It is affecting your health. I talked about loneliness and that unfulfilling feeling. It is like smoking cigarettes. It's damaging your relationships. Speaking specifically about it damaging your health, it's what I call feminine burnout. And if you want to listen to episode 62 through 66, the feminine burnout series of this podcast, you can find more information there. But basically, we have physical symptoms: hair thinning, weight gain, not sleeping at night, needing caffeine or sugar to get you through the day, cravings, mood swings, foggy thinking. Anyways, the list goes on. And then there's the emotional side to this too. And that's the lack of energy, the difficulty making decisions, the anxious thinking, the overwhelm, the lows, like basically the functional depression that so many of us get through the day feeling, but yet pasting on the smile for our teams and our families. Do you know the clarity that you will have when you have more pleasure in your life? It's also urgent because it's affecting our relationships. You know, you are not completely fulfilled romantically, intimately, or you would not be listening. We will also, and I guess, you know what, just you can hear it from one of the mentorship graduates about her family, about healing the relationship with her family, actually, maybe even two of them. Anyways, by practicing pleasure, our relationships will heal. And this doesn't just mean the romantic ones, it is with our partners, with our children, with our parents, with our friendships. And they're either healed or new aligned ones are called in. Lack of pleasure is affecting your business. As I said before, the return on sex, when you're heavy, tired, disconnected, lacking clarity, exhausted because you were up fighting with your partner, this costs you money. It's costing your team money. And it can be rectified by pleasure. So I have a few reflection questions for you. What if we were taught how to have deepening intimacy in a long-term relationship? What if we were taught how to create greater intimacy within ourselves to increase capacity to do it with another? What if we learned to tend to the parts of ourselves that got triggered when we were disappointed, scared, had big feelings, and couldn't superwoman our way out of a situation? What if we were taught that an orgasm wasn't the goal, but instead we were taught how to surrender and feel safe in intimacy? This is my work. This is what I teach. We are retraining our brains, our beliefs, our nervous systems to have an increased capacity for pleasure, turning up that pleasure dial. And I want you to take a second, no matter what you're doing, because if you're a superwoman, you are probably multitasking right now. And imagine if this area of your life is improved by 30%. What would be possible for you? I want to share a journal prompt with you that I've been using with my clients. Imagine yourself at work, parenting, on a date, at lunch with friends, feeling seen, cared for, and well fucked. And I want you to imagine that feeling. Really take some time and think about it. And it's like that energy, that new relationship energy. And it's even different when we can cultivate intimacy in a long-term relationship. It's almost even better because there's a connectedness, there's a groundedness to it, to that energy that's not there in a new relationship because it's a little unstable. And I want you to set an intention around that for 2023 and hell, we might as well start. You can start using that intention today. Set a reminder in your phone so it comes up and it keeps coming up. I want you to listen to some of the graduates from the feminine mentorship. We get the good sex, but practicing pleasure, being in your feminine power, it is about so much more. And you can hear it from me, and I can tell you how pleasure is affecting your health and your relationships, but I want you to hear it from them in their words.
Being vulnerable, it was hard, but it was like, oh my God, I want to stretch myself. I want to stretch. And I say that in a way that I want to grow. Like, so for me to be vulnerable to the point where I was vulnerable the other day of talking to my sister about something that's been bugging me for 5 years, it was hard, but I wouldn't be where I am today if it wasn't for you guys.
I don't know. I feel like just this combination of women, right? Because you said the ages and the disparities, and like we're all different people. I don't know. I think it was a magical mix. I don't know. I loved being a part of this group.
But I would say more importantly is really just how that relationship with my daughter is evolving. Being able to approach my kids now at 19 and 21 as adults, and to be able to set up boundaries with my children as I need to, but also to be able to teach my daughter, who desperately needs to set up boundaries, helping her kind of navigate through that as well. So at the beginning, I was kind of upset with myself for not having done this sooner, and not being able to kind of go back and change the relationship, or just how I parented back in the day. But seeing now how much of an impact there's been in that short 1 year, it really helps me alleviate a lot of that guilt. So that makes me super happy.
When I started this, I couldn't feel my feelings at all. Couldn't feel my things in my body at all. I didn't trust myself at all. And I think all of that has really moved to a much better place this year.
Our sex life has been ridiculous the last couple weeks.
Yes.
Yeah. Like even he was like, "Are you ovulating soon?" I just feel like this is like how I normally am, like hormonally chemically attracted to you during ovulation. I'm like, no, just
Oh no, it's just the feminine baby.
We're just in the good, yeah.
Just that group of women, I don't know, there was something about the chemistry, or maybe it's just me.
I am here to make sure you stop muting the channel on your pleasure. Stop avoiding. It is not a solution. I am there for you so that you don't have an anhedonic life. You are not muting your pleasure. Instead, we are connecting you back to it. Our community of highly curated women is 70% sold out. There's 3 spots left. I have 2 calls this week. Those spots might be full by the time this episode goes live. And also finding the right 3 women is way more important to me than making an extra 6 figures. So when I say highly curated, I mean it. Applications are closing for 2023. We start mid-January. If you are listening to this after and you want to be added to the waitlist for the feminine mentorship, you can email info@thepleasurecollective.com and we will tell you how you can reserve your spot. And if you have been thinking about it, fill out the application, send me a DM on Instagram. We'll put the link in the show notes and let's connect. Let's see if this is right for you. And if not, I'm going to tell you what is. Let's see what's possible for you, your relationships, your business when you put pleasure first in 2023.
Have a great week, everybody.
If you like what you heard in this episode, leave me a rating. Your support helps me get discovered by more women like you. Together, we can change the conversation around women's sexual health and pleasure for you, your partners, and generations to come.